Good morning to you from dreary Green Bay, where I'm headed to the airport, but I just finished watching the tape from last night. Just how bad was it? Well, let's start with the offensive line for the 49ers, especially the interior, was even worse than the naked eye would suggest watching that game at Lambeau Field live yesterday. There was no running room for Christian McCaffrey on 80 to 90% of his runs. I'm actually excited to look the rushing yards over expectation at some of those numbers to see what the tracking data thought about the available rushing room for Christian McCaffrey, but there wasn't a lot of it. And since the 49ers root so much of what they do on balance offensively, the fact that they're not getting a solid structure for their run game from the interior. Jake Brendel was missing a lot of blocks at the point of attack, but he was also struggling when it came to get to the second level. The fact that they're not doing that is making a lot of the offensive structure have to really strain outside the run game. Because everything, like the entire focal point is the middle of the 49ers attack, and it's just not performing the way that they need to. And I think that has a bad carryover effect on the pass game. I think you see it really manifest itself on the end arounds. I don't think they tried one to Deebo Samuel yesterday, but Deebo has not had any room when he's trying to hit the edge. And I think it's really clear. We saw it with the kick return yesterday and on the trick play that worked to Deebo Samuel. He hadn't lost a step. He still has a lot of burst, but schematically, the stuff that had been there before isn't for the 49ers. This has been an issue that I've talked about a lot this year, but I think it was very, very clear yesterday that the 49ers blocking up front, especially on the interior, I would say Aaron Banks and Jake Brendel in the middle, is really causing things to be a lot harder for Kyle Shanahan. Now, when the 49ers have Brock Purdy, he's such a plus player. He's a real superstar. I think that was made very obvious yesterday. He's able to mask a lot of these issues because A, they're put into worse down and distance when the run game is inefficient. So Brock Purdy has put on his Superman cape, and he's been able to overcome that. And on his way to overcoming it, he's also had to escape some of the pass protection breakdowns that the 49ers have faced. And I think the pass protection has actually, in general, been better this year than last season. But when the down and distance has been worse because they obviously haven't been running as efficiently, it sets Purdy and the offense up against the ferocious edge rush attack. And that's where his mobility and his plus playmaking has allowed the 49ers to get out of dodge in several instances. So yesterday they didn't have that from Brock Purdy. I think that it showed. I think that Brandon Allen made several nice throws, but that, the X factor that Brock Purdy can bring to mask the other deficiencies on offense, which we've seen all year. We've seen the 49ers last in the league in yak. We've seen so many stats indicating that the product is not a good one, that the product is very flawed offensively. Purdy had been able to will them past that to at least the 500 record, but the bottom just came crashing out when they didn't have that star presence at quarterback yesterday. I compare it to the late stage Seahawks when Russell Wilson was still in his prime. Offensive line was really struggling. They could no longer run the ball as efficiently as they wanted to, but Russell Wilson still made enough plays to will them to at least a 500 record, and the 49ers, obviously a couple plays away from a much better record. And I think so much of that does go back to the exceptional plays that their quarterback has made. So we're going to get the status update today after I get back from Green Bay to see if Brock Purdy might be available next week. Defensively, I know I laid into the 49ers yesterday. Those 10 missed tackles in the first quarter, that really is the staggering stat. When the total missed tackle numbers from this game come out, it's going to be a staggering number because I saw even more on tape. Somebody like Jair Brown, he missed Josh Jacobs early on the spin move. That was the first big run for Green Bay. That really set a poor tone. I mean, he's got to be better in run support for the 49ers. It's not just the defensive line without Bosa, although Bosa, he occupies so much defensive attention that it frees other guys up to make plays. So when guys have more pressure on them like they did yesterday, it turns into a really, really tough situation. in general, it's up to Nick Sorensen to have the 49ers defense ready, playing in the right gaps. And, he's the leader of the defense. There's something about mentality. There's something about being able to muscle up and make tackles and be ready to play. It's why people loved the energy that Robert Saleh brought, because it seemed to carry over to the 49ers defense. Whatever Sorensen was cooking up yesterday was the opposite of working. I think on the offensive side of the ball, I have to add, before I head out to the airport here in Green Bay, I don't feel that there still weren't enough gimmies schemed up by Kyle Shanahan. He's got to scheme up some layups. I understand it's harder when that run game is losing a lot at the point of attack, not executing the blocks that it needs to execute. But I still do feel that the 49ers did not do enough schematically to help Brandon Allen. Short passing game can sometimes help alleviate the burden on the offensive line and some of the blocks that they have to make. So I still don't think that Kyle Shanahan is fully in his rhythm, and I understand why in some ways, because of the blocking failures up front. But the 49ers have to find a way to make this more sustainable. And they have yesterday exposed them without Purdy and Bosa. They become over-reliant on their superstars, and the tape watching all of that here in Green Bay was very, very ugly indeed. All right, talk to you guys back in the Bay Area.
Each individual and myself, I just got to be better.
How do you guys change all the mistakes that have been happening on offense? You guys have been shooting yourselves in the foot with the penalties.
Yeah, just don't make them. And, I think, once again, take accountability. Just got to be better.
How was Brandon out there in the huddle?
It was great.
Did you feel like everything was running as normal, as if, obviously not as the same as if Brock was out there, but it felt like it was moving momentum-wise with him in there?
Yeah, really my mindset's always just one play at a time. I thought he did a great job. We got to be a lot better for him. I have to be a lot better for him, no matter who's the quarterback.
When you look at just where you guys are now, 5 and 6, where do you get the fight to continue to push and try to move?
There's always a fight. It's one game at a time. Each day you got to wake up, look yourself in the mirror, and get better, whether you win or lose. And speaking for me personally, that's what I'm going to do.
You talked about your vision being good last week. How did you feel it was today?
I have to check the tape.
Was it hard to get in rhythm considering how long you guys were out in the first half? You just didn't get on the field.
Yeah, I think rhythms come and go, and you never know when it's going to happen. So the mindset's never, watching a game's a lot different than playing in one, because you never know which is going to be the play to go. So you just try to keep the same mindset the whole game.
Yeah, it was a 10-point game. We get ball coming out. We score as a 3-point game. We were excited to get back out there and go play, but it just one thing led to another. It just went downhill.
How do you guys change the penalties that you guys have been having on offense, and you can one step forward, 2 steps back?
How do we change it? We all know how to play football. It's just we got to be better. Like flat out, I got to be better. I can't have 3 penalties in one half. That's not efficient football. It's hard to win a football game when one guy has 3 penalties. So I just got to be better, really.
What was Kyle's message to you guys after the game today?
I just stress out this wasn't a good loss. Or not. I don't know if I can cuss, but it was bad. Like it was just,
let them through.
Because this league is predicated off defensive lines that jet upfield and get off the ball. You have to be more disciplined when we use our cadence. We got to keep revving it. At the end of the day, there's no way around it. You have to lock in. You can't make those mistakes.
Was this Green Bay defense doing anything in particular that was different, or it was just
No, they weren't. When we eliminate those penalties and we play sound and we get the ball off, we were moving it well. But then we fell back into the same rut of mistakes and miscommunication and penalties, and you get behind the sticks. We had some turnovers there late, just unforced errors. And credit to them, they played a clean game. And when you don't play a clean game and another team does, that's the result.
Do you guys still feel like you had momentum and positivity at halftime going out into the second half?
Of course. We came into the locker room after getting that score on that drive. Guys were positive. We started moving the ball. We started eliminating some of those mistakes. And then we come out at half and we have that return, and offense goes back to moving the ball, but then we fell back into those same ruts. But I don't think that anyone here doubted that we were in the game at that point. We just have to play better. We have to play a clean game to win those mistakes. You can't win turn the ball over like that.
We miscommunicated. Yeah.
You guys have been shooting yourselves in the foot, week after week. How do you guys clean up those mistakes? I mean, it's been penalties across
There's
the board.
always some, right? Execution, man. Execution. Every mistake, we done made, we have been coached, we have been taught, we know exactly what to do. We just got to get it done when it's time.
What was Kyle's message after this?
Really like to take it on the chin, on to the next. You got a good team, Bills coming in, so let's get ready for them. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, he was good. I think he did a good job of being composed and, attacking everything and all the opportunities that he got. And for me, being a receiver, it was just try to make his job a little bit easier on him and, try to get into my routes as fast as I could so it can be a clearer picture.
How hard is it to have that chemistry built when you've only been practicing together for a week?
It's tough, but, it's even more tough just because I missed training camp. I feel like I would have got more reps with him if I did have that opportunity. But, in practice, I'm taking reps for both from Brock and him. So, I still got some reps with him, but, it's hard building that strong chemistry with him for sure. But we'll definitely get it better.
Just talking a little bit more about the punt returns. Did you feel good back there?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a little bit of an acclimatization period? Just take me through those.
Yeah, I like punt return a little bit more because, it actually makes my heart kind of go crazy. Like, I get a little nervous back there. So it's really fun to get back there and, for that adrenaline feeling again. But, I felt like it was back in the college days for me when I was punt returning. I just stay composed, stay relaxed, but at the same time, had that excitement to me. So it was good to get back there and make some plays back there. Obviously, we got some penalties, so it was kind of tough, but hopefully we can get some more.
Yeah, there's been a lot of penalties, as you said, on offense. How do you guys rectify that? I mean, it seems like it's been kind of week after week.
Yeah, just cleaning things up, making sure we have inside hands and, us as receivers, we're always stressing that for us, blocking on the outside. If the running back's going to bounce outside or, cut up, make it easier for them and a clear picture for them. So, we eliminate some of those things, but, it just comes down to details, knowing the snap count and stuff like that too. So, we got a lot to eliminate, but.
How are you feeling with offense now that it's been a couple games, but you're still, like you said, you weren't here for training camp?
Yeah, I feel actually really good now. Being out there, getting some games under my belt, I think just speeds up the process. In training camp, you're going out there, you're practicing, but now, you're on the big stage with the lights on, so you have no choice but, step up your game, and I feel like I'm doing that each and every game, and, I'm just going to keep doing my job as best as I can, whatever that is.
Poor technique, poor execution across the board. We knew the challenge that their running backs gave for us going into the game, and we just didn't execute.
Can you take us through the back-to-back penalties of too many men on the field and how that frustrates you guys and how that's possible?
No, that's unacceptable. That's across the board. There's nobody to point a finger at on that particular situation. It's all of us not being on the same page. We got to be better.
There's been drives where you've been consistent, and then there's been drives where it's been just kind of not 49ers football. How do you guys get back that consistency? Because it's been kind of all over the board.
Yeah, that's something we got to look at as soon as we get back home, because we can't just keep doing the same things, expecting a different result. We got to be better and take a look, individually first and then as a group.
How discouraging was that first half? Can you remember a half that?
Yeah, no, that's about as bad as it can get. It's probably the worst I've been a part of. And, even then it was still, 17-7 to end the first half. 10-point game, still had everything in front of us. We just didn't make plays we needed to.
Were there miscommunication issues between you guys on the field? Obviously the 12-man thing, but outside of that?
No, other than that, I don't think there was a ton of miscommunication throughout. I think they presented some different run looks than we had prepared for in the first half, which we adjusted to as the game went on, and which was helpful. But we got to be better from the jump.
But is there any sort of going into this, just emotional letdown is probably not the right term, but when you don't have three superstars, does that affect you guys' psyche at all?
No, we had all the confidence in the world who we were going into the game with. We just didn't. Obviously, with the result of the game, it's going to look like we thought that we didn't have a chance. That wasn't the case at all. We were confident. We we came in ready to go. We just didn't execute at high enough level.
I'm sure any loss is painful, but does it hurt? I mean, how do you digest a loss like this with the scoreboard as lopsided as it
Yeah,
is?
no, this is probably one of the worst ones I've been a part of. You know, it is embarrassing. You got to take it on the chin, take it like a man, and move on.
That's good.